Hello and welcome to another Google Hangout, where we're going to go over some thoughts on the match that's just finished in the FA Cup. Manchester United 0, Cambridge 0. And before we start, I've got with me again Joey, and he's doing a giveaway of 2 Manchester United pint glasses. So I'll just hand you over to Joey to explain what's going on with the giveaway.
Alright, so the next video we do, no matter what it is, preview or transfer talk or whatever, I'm going to give you guys a question. The only thing you need to do to enter this little giveaway is to be subscribed to my YouTube channel, this YouTube channel, and Dan and I on Twitter. Here's the glasses. It's not much, but I want to do something, to get interacting with the people that do watch us. And I'm not like those other guys on Twitter where it's, retweet and follow this. I'm going to send these glasses out, and I'm going to have the winner post a picture with my name in it, mention me, so that you see that we're serious, because we're going to be giving away an England jersey in the next couple of weeks, along with some other cool stuff. So make sure you're subscribed and let us know what you think. So look out for the next video, because that's when the question's going to be answered. And we'll randomly pick the winner.
Yeah, that's cool. So moving along to the game tonight that's just finished 0-0. Firstly, we're going to talk a bit about Louis van Gaal, and was he to blame for this pretty bad performance tonight, and what's going wrong at Manchester United at the moment, especially away from Old Trafford, because the performances away from home haven't been good. Is it all down to Louis van Gaal, and is some of the players to blame for this? So I'll go back over to you. How do you think Louis van Gaal's done, especially in this particular game? Do you think he's fully to blame for this?
No, I personally don't. I mean, when it all comes down to it, that's 11 players on the pitch that didn't get the job done. I see people joke about Louis van Gaal and his philosophy or whatever the hell he says, and I can tell you that that's not his philosophy. His philosophy, more or less, is to keep possession, yes, but to have quicker movement, more players moving off the ball, and better forward passing. It's not sideways passing. It's not what we saw tonight. Do you think Louis van Gaal's happy with that? No, that was shit. But we still have some players at this club who aren't Manchester United quality, and that was never going to happen in one transfer window, the clear out. But at the end of the day, we should be beating a League Two side. Granted, I'm not. Everybody's going, well played to Cambridge for what? They just sat 11 men behind the ball and defended all right. We didn't make it fucking hard for them. You know what I'm saying? We didn't do anything spectacular, so it wasn't really hard to defend us. A Sunday side could have defended against us today. And it goes back to in the lineup, everybody got their 4 at the back, and we'll talk at the formation later. And Fellaini started. And it just seems like the only reason Fellaini started was because he got a goal the last game off the bench, and because they're taller. Why are we playing down to other teams? I've noticed that. We play down, no matter who the team is, to our opposition. Whether it's QPR, Cambridge, Yeovil, we play down and we make these sides look like they're as good as us. When they're not. They shouldn't be. So that's not all down to Louis van Gaal. Some of it, he will take some of the blame, and he'll get blasted in the media. And I'm also tired of hearing he spent 150 million pounds. Like, the players he brought in were damn good players. You get some other players other than the ones we have, and you're going to have a damn good side. It wasn't going to happen in one window. There's still some major holes in the squad and the starting 11 as well. I don't agree that Wayne Rooney and Juan Mata should be rested, because we're playing one game a week. What do they need to be rested for? That's how I'll start it. I'll go back to you. What do you think? Do you think Louis van Gaal is a little bit to blame? Yes, no? Am I right? Am I wrong? What do you think?
Well, I think the starting 11 that he sent out should easily have been good enough to beat this lower league opposition. But maybe some of the players he played could be questionable. But overall, this team should have been good enough to beat them. I mean, even though I've heard some other fans say about not including Wayne Rooney in the team. But, I mean, if we'd won this game 3 or 4-0, people probably wouldn't have been questioning the fact that Wayne Rooney wasn't playing, which we really should have beat these comfortably. I mean, it is obviously questionable. Some of the players that he picked, obviously Adnan Januzaj hasn't been playing too well. He picked Daley Blind at left back, where some fans are questioning that, and obviously Fellaini in there as well. So it's questionable on some of the decisions, but obviously Louis van Gaal's getting paid a lot of money to pick the starting 11, and when the results don't go Manchester United's way, obviously the media and everyone is going to obviously criticise the manager mainly, even over the players, which sometimes can be harsh, but I'm afraid it is a part of the job. Obviously, there was a lot of players today that didn't perform very well. I don't know what your overall performances you thought of the performances of all the players. Obviously, as I just said, Daley Blind played at left back with Valencia at right back. I don't know what your thoughts are on the defence first. Obviously, David De Gea had nothing to do really, but the defence seems to have so much time on the ball. We really need to get the ball forward. That's that's one massive thing that I'm thinking here. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, that's why we're starting. We'll talk about player performances, and we'll start at the back. Yeah, David De Gea, nothing to do, did nothing wrong as usual. Kind of feel bad for the guy, to be honest. Valencia was crap at right back. You know, there's times where there's a period in the game where it's like he didn't even go forward. And in this diamond, it's very narrow. You know, you rely. It's no different than the 3-5-2. All Carrick has to do is take one step back, and it's a 3-5-2. So, you know, Valencia, like, he would get forward and then pass it sideways or back, or he would do his one-trick pony, go to the byline and try and smash the ball across. He is not a right back. He's not a right midfielder. He's a squad player at best now. It's done. It's like it's time for him to move on. It's bring a right back in, and hopefully it would be great if we could bring one in now. But we're probably gonna have to wait till summer because no quality right backs are available. We're not gonna get Klein. They're in the top 4 race. You know, we're not gonna get Coleman. They're fighting, you know, to get back into Europa League. They're still in the Europa League. So, you know, I'm tired of waiting for Raphael to prove his form and his. You know, he had one decent season 2 years ago. And everybody like has a sentiment towards him. You know, that's the thing with Sir Alex Ferguson. He was ruthless. And that's the same thing with Louis van Gaal. Valencia won't be playing right back at all next season. I guarantee that. Then we move on to Phil Jones. That's another player. He's had his chance. He's crap. He's not good. I wrote in my notes today, he goes to ground on a challenge way too early, way too often. You know, he gave away that stupid penalty at Newcastle, and we've seen him give away some pretty stupid penalties. It's the same thing with Danny Welbeck. Oh, he didn't get a run of games up top. Oh, Phil Jones didn't get a run of games at center back. Why? He can't stay healthy. It's impossible for him, Johnny Evans, and Chris Smalling to stay healthy. It's time to move on. That ship has sailed. You know, I was even saying earlier, you know, I don't want a Vlar or a Shawcross. You know, and I don't want no short-term fixes. But then you look at it, if we get Champions League next season, who do I want as our squad players? Vlar and Shawcross, or do I want one of those 3 jokers? You know what I mean? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of waiting for those 3 to prove themselves and to stay healthy. It's not Manchester United quality. It's time to move on. Speaking of Manchester United quality, I know it's a League 2 side, and I know they're tall, so they like to play the ball in the air. I thought Rojo was awesome today. He eats everything in the air. You know, anything that comes his way in the air, it's his. He's comfortable on the ball. He can bring it out the back. I'm a big fan of Rojo, and I like the bite he has. You know, he's kind of got that toughness thing, you know, and I really like that about Rojo. And then we move on to Blind. And I like Daley Blind in the midfield, but in this formation, you know, on the left of the diamond today was Di Maria. It was Januzaj. Januzaj isn't, you know, he provided some decent cover, but Daley Blind is just too slow to play left back. He's not a bad left back, don't get me wrong. But if we were to play against a team that had some really good pace out wide and wanted to play, I think we would have been in trouble. Because I said it in our review of the last game. I said QPR, when we went to a back 4, they got down that right side, and they got at Daley Blind, and he got caught upfield a few times. So I want to see Daley Blind more centrally. But, you know, we got Luke Shaw. That's what Luke Shaw is for. Luke Shaw is a proper left back. I want to see more of Luke Shaw. I hope he can stay healthy because I really like that kid. So that's my thoughts on the back line. I'll go to your thoughts on the back line.
Yeah, I have to agree with the Marcos Rojo one. I really think that he was probably one of our best players in this game, probably maybe even man of the match. But as you're saying with the Phil Jones, he's getting a run of games now, and this really is his chance to prove himself. Obviously, he's still going to have a few months to prove himself, and if performances can improve, maybe he will stay as a squad player. But obviously, he can't stay fit for more than about 5 or 10 games at times. So I'm really not sure that he's going to be even kept as a squad player for many years. And with the Daley Blind, yeah, I was a bit surprised that Luke Shaw didn't play this game, but also he's had some injury problems this season, so I'm not too sure there. And obviously with Ashley Young out, he's got not really much option but to play Daley Blind there. So, but obviously Antonio Valencia was poor, but there's not a lot of option at the right back position because Rafael is always injured. And I would really personally get rid of Rafael in the summer if he cannot stay fit, because there's just no point keeping these players if they're always injured. It's just a complete waste of time.
And money.
I mean, money, because we're probably paying Rafael a good 70,000, 80,000 a week just to sit on the sideline injured, and it's just a complete waste of money. We could use that money to pay some of David Hare's contract. I mean, if he's going to stay, we could offer him over 200,000 a week to keep him at the club, instead of giving all these injured players a place in the squad. Now, moving along a bit further, obviously going forward to the midfield, I don't know what your thoughts are on the midfield. We played Fellaini in midfield today, which I did say in my preview I thought that Fellaini probably would play, give him a run out, and I thought that even he would probably be good enough to help us past this League Two side, but even today he wasn't very good. Personally, I think he's probably better as a substitute, but I didn't think the midfield looked good until Herrera come on. I don't know what your thoughts are really on that.
No, and we'll get to Herrera. That's going to be one of our talking points later. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier, that we play down to other teams. Do you think Fellaini started because their team has more than a few players over 6 foot? That's probably one of the thinking, right? Why are we playing down to other teams? They should be playing, they should be adjusting their tactics to us, not vice versa. I didn't think Carrick was that great today. I thought he did his job, but I expect more from him. He had the captain's armband on. He made very minimal forward passes, and that one forward pass he did make to Falcao, I believe it was almost a goal. So you see that, and you're like, well, why aren't you doing that more often? From him, there was a lot of sideways passing. Same thing. Fellaini wasn't terrible today, but he wasn't great. He got that yellow card early, and it wasn't a yellow card, to be fair. The guy did dive. But the rest of the game, I'm like, he's going to get sent off. There was that one where they were coming down the field, and he was trying to kind of get ahead of him. I'm like, oh, shit, here we go. He's getting sent off. And that's how it is when he gets a yellow card, because he's all elbows. It's just, it's a walking red card waiting to happen. And then, Januzaj, dude, we were talking before we came on, and Januzaj looked like a kid who just drained the confidence. He looks a shadow of the player he was last season. Towards the end of the first half, he didn't even take that shot. We were talking about this too. Like, he had the ball, and you're like, I got up out of my seat, and I'm like, go at the defenders, take them on. You're at Manchester United. You're playing a League Two side. What are you doing? And he would just, pass it sideways or turn around. There was too much of that. Too much, oh, there's a man. I'm not going to take him on. I'm going to turn sideways and pass it to you. They look like they were frightened to lose possession. Go forward. And the thing is, I was saying with you, if I'm Adnan Januzaj and I'm not getting a lot of games, I got the number 11 shirt on. And this is me personally. Some of the knock on him is that he's not physical enough. He can't take the challenges or ride them. I'm in the weight room extra. I'm going to Louis Van Gaal, and even Ander Herrera, I said to you, I'm going to Louis Van Gaal, and I'm finding out why I'm not playing, and I'm fixing that. And with Ander Herrera, or with Adnan Januzaj, why is he not saying to Giggs, like, look, you're probably one of the best players that's ever played for this club. You're a legend. We play the same position. They gave me your number. Can you stay after training with me? Can you help me? I want to put the extra work in. I want to be like Ronaldo was. Remember, Ronaldo put in all that extra work. That's why Ronaldo is the best player in the world, because he puts in the extra work. Like, yeah, he has some great God-given talent, don't get me wrong, but he puts in the extra work. So why the fuck isn't Adnan Januzaj saying to Giggs, hey, I want to put the extra work in. I don't like sitting on the bench and not getting picked for every game. I want to play. I want to earn more money. I want to be one of the best in the world. I just don't understand that.
No, I don't understand it either. I'm really not Fellaini's biggest fan, by all means, going back to him. I think that probably next season he'll be at best a squad player, if he's got a future at Manchester United at all, because if we bring in another player like a Pogba or a Strootman, he's not going to get a lot of game time at all. So it's probably best if we move him on, really, in my view. But with Adnan Januzaj, last season he looked like a real talent, played quite a lot of games. People were saying more games than he should have played, but when we brought Ronaldo in, he played a lot of games, and people were comparing him to Ronaldo, which was really a bit too much, because very few players become as good as that.
But to be fair, when we looked at the stats, sorry to interrupt you, and I'll let you go on, but when we looked at the stats of last season and Ronaldo's first season, they were almost exactly the same.
Yeah, definitely. That's true. I saw them stats. They were practically almost similar. But then Ronaldo kicked on again this season and played. I think I looked at the stats, and he played at least about 30 odd Premier League games, which Adnan Januzaj featured in hardly any Premier League games, and hasn't scored a single goal this season. And I was really frustrated when that chance at the end he had, where he had the ball around the edge of the penalty area against Cambridge today, and he chose to pass it rather than shoot. I mean, there was about 10-15 seconds left of the half to go, and he could have got a shot away. That could have hit someone, ricocheted into the net or anything. I mean, by the time he passed it, the chance had gone, and the end of the first half ended, which I was really disappointed with. If that had been Ronaldo when he first came to Manchester United, he would have been having a shot from there, even if it had gone wide, at least getting a chance, whereas the chance just went away, which I was really disappointed with. And moving along to the forwards, obviously the forwards didn't really have a lot of service today, especially the two up top. Obviously, Di Maria was there as well, playing more in that number 10 role. I'm still not sure if that is his best position to play. I don't know what your thoughts are on Di Maria. For nearly £60 million, I would really be expecting a bit more out of him, especially against this lower league opposition. And so far, I don't think we've really seen the best of him. We did see it in spells. We've seen some great performances, but for £60 million, I still don't think he's proved his worth as yet.
You're right, but then, all right, look at this. You got Carrick at the base of the diamond. This is all behind Di Maria, because Di Maria pretty much played the 10 role today. You got Carrick, who won't play a forward pass. You got Januzaj out left, who is devoid of confidence. And then you have Fellaini to the right. It doesn't exactly scream creativity and exotic passing to me. You know what I mean? Di Maria, yeah. I mean, imagine if Rooney would have been in there instead of Fellaini, and say Herrera instead of Januzaj. You would have saw one-touch, tiki-taka, some nice one-touch passing around the defenders. I think that would have been a completely different game if those two had started. Where is the confidence? You remember in the summer there was that game against Inter Milan where there was that nice one-touch passing on the edge of the area? It didn't lead to a goal, but we were like, holy shit, that was some nice passing. I haven't seen that all season. So I guess maybe Louis van Gaal is to blame a little bit. Maybe in this lineup, maybe Rooney and Herrera should have started, and then Di Maria in the 10. I'm not even going to talk about Falcao and James Wilson. I feel bad for them because they didn't get shit as usual. People get on Falcao all the time, but you read tweets from people who are at the game, and they're like, I watched Falcao. That guy's got his movement, let alone is worth $40 million. So give the guy something to put in the back of the net. You cannot just expect them to just create something out of nothing. You have to feed these strikers. You have to feed the tiger. And we didn't do that. So, I'm not going to judge Di Maria yet because I feel like, it is the FA Cup. This is Cambridge's, final for them. And we didn't make it exactly hard for them. So that's my thoughts on Di Maria. I didn't think he was terrible today, but I think what was around him was pretty fucking terrible.
Yeah, the other players weren't up to standard today, but yeah, as you're saying as well, with the service to the likes of Robin van Persie, Radamel Falcao, and James Wilson, the service this season hasn't been good at all, which hasn't helped. As we've seen, Robin van Persie's coming to a lot of criticism when the service has been abysmal, and he's got into nice positions, and Falcao's got in some great positions as he did again today, and still the service is pretty damn abysmal, which is not good at all. And these players aren't the sort of players. They're not Lionel Messi. They're not these sort of players. I mean, Radamel Falcao is mainly a goal scorer, and he really does rely on a lot of good service into him for him to score a lot of goals. So we're going to have to really improve on getting the service in, which moves us along to our talking a bit more about our formation. Today, obviously, he went into this game with the 4-4-2 diamond, and now people are starting to slag off the 4-4-2 diamond. It's a bit difficult to know which formation Louis van Gaal is going to pick. Obviously, he's gone with the 3-5-2 in a lot of games, and so he doesn't particularly like the 4-4-2 diamond. But I don't know where we're going to go from here, because he's probably going to switch back to the 3-5-2 formation in the next game.
No, but like I was saying earlier, Michael Carrick, say we play 3-5-2, and Michael Carrick's in the center. All he has to do is take a few steps forward, and you got a 4-4-2 diamond. There's no width in the 4-4-2 diamond. I don't know. I hope you can see that. Probably not. Whatever. So all your width is from the fullbacks. I said earlier Daley Blind wasn't quick enough to play at left back, because when Daley Blind gets forward, that left central midfielder has to provide a little bit of cover, and if that left central midfielder is in front of Daley Blind, well, then that whole left side is open, and you're relying on two center backs to cover it. I want to see us play with wingers. Like, I want to see a 4-4-2 with wide men. That's why we were talking about transfer. Like, Cuadrado's available, apparently. He plays a right-sided midfielder, winger. He would be perfect. And that goes into the summer transfer window, and we might get into that a little bit of what we need. I think we need another winger. I personally don't care for the 4-4-2 diamond, because it's the same thing as a 3-5-2, just about. And there's just not enough genuine width with it. Now, granted, everybody's asked for the 4-4-2 diamond, and they got it today, and it was the same performance as it's been. You agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I was one of the people that said that I'd prefer the 4-4-2 diamond over the 3-5-2, and the performance wasn't really any better at all. If anything, it was just probably almost exactly the same. But as you said, with the wingers, some fans were discussing it the other week about having Nani back. Personally, I don't think that Nani should come back. I think we should personally go out and get a new winger and go back to playing with our two wingers as we did before David Moyes coming to Manchester United, when Sir Alex Ferguson was at Manchester United. He always played with width, and it was so much better than how we're playing now. Obviously, you said Juan Cuadrado could come in. He's looks like a quality player. I've only really seen him in the World Cup, because I don't watch too much football from them. But overall, I do really think that we should have some really good width in the play. But I don't know what your thoughts are on the Nani deal, whether you think he should come back. Some fans think that maybe he still has a future, but personally, I don't think he has a future at Manchester United at all.
No, I don't want Nani back. We've been through that already. It's the same thing with what I said earlier about Phil Jones and Johnny Evans and Chris Smalling and Antonio Valencia. They're not United quality. Don't want them. Nani, that ship has sailed. I said it earlier. I'll say that again. I want a new, fresh face. And even I want us to play with width, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a 4-4-2. The reason we're playing two strikers is so we can try and fit Falcao, Van Persie, Rooney, Mata on the pitch at the same time. And, Mata's future has become under question, and I personally think Louis van Gaal is going to look more 4-3-3. If he brings Strootman in, say he plays a midfield of in a 4-3-3 of Strootman, Rooney, and Di Maria. That's a pretty damn good midfield. And then you would have to bring in 2 wingers, and then you could have Van Persie up top as a striker. So, it'll be interesting where it goes. And then we were speaking about the diamond. They put all their men behind the ball. And we were playing pretty narrow. The diamond's a narrow formation. And when you have Valencia on one side, who's not a great crosser of the ball, and that's another thing I saw on the United View, they were talking, why is Fellaini overlapping Valencia? That's because in the diamond, Fellaini is the right-sided midfielder. Who else is going to overlap him? You know what I mean? That's why that formation isn't that great. I mean, it could be if you played Herrera there. He's a lot better in a wide area than Fellaini is. So, like I said, there's some holes we filled. I don't want Nani back at the club. That I just know. I want and speaking of Cuadrado, a lot of my friends are Colombian, so I tend to watch the Colombian players. He's a great player, real tricky, real technical, can score a goal, can whip a ball in. He plays on the right side. He plays for Fiorentina, who've had last season. They had a pretty decent season. They almost made the Champions League. They made the Europa League, and Cuadrado had a decent World Cup. So, we need what we need. And I was thinking earlier about this Louis van Gaal thing. He wants the squad to adapt to him. And for this year, I think he needs to adapt to the squad. And what I mean by that is do whatever is best to get into the top 4. Whatever you think this squad should play to get into the top 4, if that's 3-5-2, which I think this is part of his thinking. I'm trying to unwrap this man's mind. I think that he plays a 3-5-2 because he's looking at his squad and realizing, well, I don't have the players I want to play the way I want to play, so I'll put 3 at the back. I'll be real careful, and I'll grind out results. I'll get my top 4. I'll get another transfer window to clear some more of that dead wood out and bring some more quality in, and then I'll play football my way.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that we can still make the top 4, but it's going to be touch and go at the way the formation's going and that. But I'm really not liking the way we're playing in these away games. I'm really thinking that we can improve on the road because there's been just so many draws this season, especially away from home. I think we've had about 7 draws in the Premier League so far, which Manchester United have never really had a lot of draws. Normally it's always win or lose for Manchester United. Even last season we were losing a lot of games, but we've never really been a team for drawing a lot of games. We've always bombed forward, tried to get the win. If that means losing a game, then Ferguson always used to take that approach. Moving along from the formation, we saw again, as you spoke about Herrera. Herrera hasn't been playing a great deal this season. He's often a substitute when he's been fit. He scored about 3 or 4 goals this season, and he broke the deadlock in the last game against Yeovil in that tight game, which could have been exactly the same as this game if he hadn't broke the deadlock. And I think some of his play in the midfield has been really good. I don't know really why Louis van Gaal doesn't seem to want to be favouring Herrera, but I've heard reports that Louis van Gaal didn't want to sign him and that he was a David Moyes signing, but I just don't know what the problem is. He's just not getting a run of games like he should be. I mean, he's definitely a better quality than Marouane Fellaini in the midfield for sure.
Yeah, I don't believe that he wasn't Louis van Gaal signing. He sanctioned it. He said, all right, yeah, bring him in. He's not going to say, hey, go spend $30 million, buy this guy out, and then I'm going to sit him on my bench. That's not how it works. I think, we were talking about playing into the opposition. Maybe Fellaini played because the other team was over 6 foot or whatever. But he talks about this balance in the team. And you saw it today. He didn't get the balance right. Again, the balance for me, try this out. Put Daley Blind at the base of the diamond, Luke Shaw at left back when healthy, Herrera, Rooney, central midfield, Di Maria 10, same strikers. That, to me, is the balance. You have Rooney box to box, you have Blind defensively, and you have Herrera creating. That's a Dutch midfield. A Dutch 3 is a box to box, a defensive midfielder, a destroyer, and a creative player. So he's not getting the balance right. And you know what? It all goes back to our first question, and I thought we would come back to this often. maybe he hasn't found the balance yet, and maybe he doesn't know it yet because of the injuries. But he needs to figure out the balance soon because, like you said, top 4 is a must.
Yeah,
And
the
going,
top.
sorry,
Yeah,
and
the
the thing
top
with
four is a
Herrera
must.
is, we talked about Januzaj. Like, find out why you're not playing. You know why you're not playing, and fix it. Whatever it is he wants from you, do it. You know.
Yeah, I think that Yadin and Januzaj is going to have to go out on loan. So moving forwards over the rest of the season, I don't know what we're going to do now. I don't know what Louis van Gaal wants to implement. He seems to be changing formation and players every single week. There doesn't seem to be any sort of settled team out there. Nobody really knows what's going to happen from week to week at all. And obviously, Sir Alex Ferguson was a master at picking the right team for every game. He didn't always pick the same team as every single game, but he always knew when to bring players out of the team and when to put players in the team. He used to 9 times out of 10 he would get it right. So if a player needed a rest, he would bring them out of the team and change it. But Louis van Gaal seems to be changing it nearly every single game. And I just don't know where you feel he's going to go move forward from here. Because really, he does need to now start getting a settled team now that everyone's fully fit. And hopefully then we will kick on and see some better results. And most importantly, some better performances.
Well, to be fair, that came with experience. With Sir Alex Ferguson when he how he knew what team to pick, and you always hear stories when he would tell a player like, "Oh, I'm not going to play this game, but I got the game for you," And Louis van Gaal is still learning the Premier League, so not only is he learning the Premier League, but he's also learning about his team. And he had those 50-some injuries to start, So hopefully the injuries are gone. He can find that balance, find that settled team and that formation, and then kick on. And then, he knows what he needs to do in the summer. He needs to bring in, going forward. In the summer, it's center back, right back, winger, central midfielder. Maybe 2 central midfielders because you want to let Fellaini go. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, I would probably throw in 2 central defenders there. But hopefully now he can get a settled side when now that nearly every player is fully fit. Hopefully Luke Shaw can come back in for the next game in the Daily Blind's position and really get a settled team. Hopefully then Herrera can come back in, and I don't know what sort of attacking options he's going to play. But the real problem I see with this is with the Juan Mata and obviously Di Maria, Wayne Rooney, Falcao, Robin van Persie and James Wilson, all attacking players, and he's trying to get as many as he can into a team, which just isn't working. I think really he's just got to be ruthless and say, look, if he doesn't feel that, say, Juan Mata's gonna fit into the team, just take him out of the team. I mean, he's got to get the results over keeping the players happy. I mean, it's just the way it goes, and we've got quite a few players that can play in the number 10 position, which is a problem. So I don't know if I know Juan Mata has been playing quite a lot lately, but also Wayne Rooney can play in that position, and we've seen Herrera play in that position. He's really got to get ruthless now and pick which players he wants to play and feels are going to give us the best possible chance of winning games, and just say, look, the other players are not as good as these players, and you've got to fight for your place to get back into the team. I don't know if you agree about that.
No, I do, and he will. Dude, I'm not, we were talking about, is it his fault, is it not? I still 100% believe in Louis van Gaal. I will never ever, say, I saw people tweeting LVG out as a hashtag. Like, are you high? Like, what kind of drugs are you on to tweet something that's stupid out? And that's why I don't like going on Twitter after the games, because people are so mental. The things you see are just like, dude, you're overreacting. And I get it. That's emotion. And that's why I'm glad that we kind of didn't do a review right after the game, because it gives us time to think about it. Let the nerves settle. Because, if that's what you want to see, people screaming at the thing, at the camera and freaking out and they're pretty much acting, most of those guys. They're clowns. That's not genuine. That's just trying to get followers. You know, if you wanna, have a discussion about why it didn't work today, you come here and listen to us. I mean, I'm being a little cocky there, but whatever. That's just my thoughts on it. I'm not gonna sit here and scream at the camera, you know. But I do agree. He does need to find his best 11, and soon, because we have to get top 4. And Arsenal are on form, Liverpool are on form, Southampton are on form. It's going to be a crazy second half of the season.
Yeah, it really is. Hopefully, he can get a settled side out there and really get the team ticking over. But I mean, it's not the end of the world today. Today's result, we've only drawn 0-0. We can easily beat these at home, I'm sure. I mean, it would be a disaster if we ended up losing this game. I don't know if you remember, but a few years back we did draw. I think it was at home to Exeter in the FA Cup, and we went away from home and beat them. I think it was fairly comfortably. And I think there was another one against Burton Albion where we drew the first game, and then we beat them in the second game. So it's not the end of the world. If this was in the Premier League against West Ham in a couple of weeks, then I would be really, really gutted, because it would have put a massive dent in our chances to finish in the top 4. But we could still go on and win the FA Cup this season. This hasn't stopped us winning it, so which is great news. We haven't got a lot of games to play from now till the end of the season, apart from the FA Cup and the Premier League. So it's not really the end of the world. I'm not so sure if we are going to win the FA Cup, but we're still in it. We'll be in the hat for the draw for the next round, and we should get through to the next round. I don't know if you've got any other thoughts you want to say before we close up.
No, it's not all doom and gloom. There's definitely positives. You know, like you said, we're still in the FA Cup. We're going to get a home tie. I feel completely confident that we're going to smash them at home. And I want to see the players come out and respond to this, though. We play Leicester at home next. I want to see the players respond. I want Louis van Gaal to play the same formation he did today, but Luke Shaw for Blind for Carrick, and I want Rooney and Herrera in central midfield. Get a balance. I think that might be the best balance. That's my team already. I'm picking it for next week. I don't even care, But I want to see the players respond. Like I said, it's time to show and play for the shirt. It's time to step up and be a man.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll come back and probably preview that game later on next week for the Manchester United and Leicester game. So we'll close it up there. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and subscribe to both our YouTube channels. Also, remember to check out the 2 pint glasses that are available. Joe's got here. I'll just pass it back over to him. Them 2 pint glasses that he's giving away. You can win both of them in the next video. It will probably be in the Leicester preview. There's going to be a question regarding the 2 glasses, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, until next time, thanks for watching. Please do leave your comments in the comment section below. If you don't disagree with us or agree with us, just let us know, because there hasn't been very many comments at all. We'd like to know who's actually watching the videos, because we're doing this for the fans. And until next time, we will talk to you all again soon. See ya.